Oh, God. I feel like this is going to be a rough episode for me because we are going to talk about Cowboy Carter in our main segment. And listen, I don't want to spoil my thoughts on the album, but I have a feeling that I might be more critical than Geoff.
I have a feeling that I'm going to have to take you down the next segment. So listeners dear, why don't you take this opportunity to go fix yourself a drink, pop some popcorn, and get ready to enjoy me dragging Justin to filth in this next segment.
So do you have any Memorial Day weekend plans?
Yeah, Wait, don't you already know what I'm doing?
Geoff.
Oh, is this fodder for the pod?
I'm just getting us warmed up here.
Okay, all right. I am going to Wells Beach with our friends, the Watsons and their family, and we're going to have a great time.
That's in Maine.
It's in southern Maine. It's like south of Portland. It's like 3 hours drive flat from here, which is great. Nice and easy. It's a fun car ride. I'm going to be working a little bit, but mostly offline and just like living life, hitting the beach, hitting the bars. Gonna have a great time.
Yeah, I spent a long weekend up there a couple years ago with my sister and her fiance and my friend from home, Sean. And it's a really fun area. I'm going to be going to Spotsylvania, Virginia.
Who, the where now?
Spotsy for short. Spotsylvania is the name of the town.
What is there?
A lake house that I can crash in for free.
Whose house is that?
That's a friend of mine from work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are they going to be there as well?
Yeah, no, I'm not yet. No, I'm actually just breaking in. You know, it's a criminal.
I didn't know
plan.
If they gave you the keys. This is not the way to start the pod. You've got a bad attitude. You need this long weekend.
All right, well, let's start officially then. This is your mom's favorite DJ, Justin.
And I'm a comedic genius in disguise, Geoff. Welcome to
Bants. Really nailed it. That was perfectly in sync, right?
That was so great. So, what's going on? What's new in culture that you have come across this week? Let's discuss the hot topics.
Well, I have one really hot topic. It's a very exciting week for both of us because we finally published this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
We did. To critical acclaim, one might say.
Yes, I believe that all 4 reviews on Apple Podcasts are 5 stars. So hey, I think we're actually famous now.
Start from the bottom, and we're still there.
Woo! But for real, thanks to those who have been listening, giving us feedback, rating the pod on Apple Music or Spotify. If you haven't already, definitely leave a review, rate it 5 stars, because that's how new people will find us.
And you can follow us on TikTok at BantsPod, and you can also follow us at BantsPod on Instagram.
That's right, Geoff is the social media extraordinaire.
I don't feel that way now because I have not had a lot of spare time to devote to it, but after June 2nd, I'm coming in hot, baby. Get ready for some fun TikTok marketing, Justin.
And just know that we are aware of some of the minor sound quality issues, which I take full responsibility for as editor.
I feel like you shouldn't take full responsibility because you're only responsible for half of the audio in this podcast. And I live in a fucking aviary because there are birds perched like outside every single of my like 10 windows in this apartment. It is so loud.
I mean, I feel like because I'm the guy on the technical side of things, I should know what to like warn you of and you know, protect against, you know?
Well, you know, I was going to say, I think like I've got to start recording at nighttime because the birds are asleep and I'm very much awake. I feel like that would be the best time for me to record.
Life hack. Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk more hot topics. What's going on? What's really interesting?
Yeah, well, I think we should open the show by talking about this minor controversy, or kind of major controversy, I guess, depending on who you ask, between Scarlett Johansson and OpenAI. So have you heard about this?
I sure have.
Okay, so for those who haven't heard about this, OpenAI, which is the company that's behind ChatGPT, that large language model that you can type in questions or whatever you want to, and then this robot basically will answer back, right? they recently released a voiced version of ChatGPT that they named Sky.
Don't love that name. So, it sounds very low class to me.
Damn, elitist Jeff over here.
That's right.
Low class? That's the problem with it? I have lots of problems with AI, but I don't know if a low class is my problem.
Okay, no, just the name. Sky. It sounds like what every young person's like, I'm going to name my baby Sky or Nevaeh.
Nevaeh can't be popular anymore, right? That has to have dropped off.
I hope not, but who's to say? We should ask some teacher friends. They'll know. They'll know what's
We
up.
do have some teacher friends. We'll have them as guests on the pod.
Teacher friends, comment below.
But yeah, this voice named Sky, as soon as they dropped it, I think everybody who used it kind of said that it sounded just like Scarlett Johansson. You know, around the time that they dropped this voice, the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, tweeted a tweet that was just her, no other content in the tweet, which seems like an obvious reference to the 2013 Spike Jonze film, Her, which starred Scarlett Johansson.
The word her.
He literally just tweeted the word her. You know, that's an obvious reference to that film, right?
Of course
which famously starred Scarlett Johansson.
And Joaquin Phoenix.
Right, Joaquin Phoenix as well.
What a weird guy, huh?
An interesting film. Yeah, Joaquin's a weird guy.
He's like living like 5 years ahead of us, I think.
Very talented, though.
Yeah.
Very talented.
What did ScarJo have to say about this? I mean, she's got such a distinct voice. I think that's like, I mean, like, she's the kind of person that if you heard them talking in a restaurant, you'd immediately be like, where's Scarlett? I know it's her.
Right, especially the voice in Her, which I think was like intentionally like, you know, the point of that movie was that this AI was kind of designed to be like sexy. A companion to this man. Yeah, and have like a sexy kind of like flirty voice.
I'm going to do my best Scarlett Johansson impression.
Please do.
Hello, Justin. I don't have a good Scarlett.
Solid 3 out of 10.
Yeah, that wasn't good. Cut that out.
We'll see. I'll make that decision when we get there.
Okay, well, it's not just your decision because this is my podcast too, but okay.
But yeah, so at this point it was just kind of like speculation that this was based on Scarlett Johansson, although like well-informed given that tweet from Sam Altman. And then Scarlett, or at least her publicist, released a statement following the release of this AI voice. And the statement essentially said that ChatGPT had actually approached her asking if she could be involved with the production of this voice. And she said she was going to think about it because she had, you know, like mixed feelings about AI.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, if you remember the recent writer's strike, a big thing that they were fighting for in that writer's strike was that, you know, protections against like them being replaced by AI writers.
Yeah.
Right?
Or actors.
There was a bit of, I don't want to know how much in the weeds we want to get into this, but
not that much. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah. But yeah, there was a little bit of a difference between the writers and the actors. I think we're not quite at the place where actors are worried about being completely replaced by AI.
We fully are. Talk to Fran Drescher about it.
No, but what I'm saying is that the SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, actually did make a deal with certain companies about using AI-generated voices based on voice actors' performances that are unionized.
What?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like there have been agreements made, so it's not like a hard no on AI from the actor side at this point.
But no actual, I guess I was talking more about like no actual actors being replaced in films with like their likeness in AI form.
I don't think that we need, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that actors are against that.
Yeah, of course they are.
Right. I think that that's not actually a realistic possibility at this time.
What are you saying about? That's not true at all. Tupac was just on stage a few weeks ago. What are you saying?
Okay, those types of holograms and stuff are totally different from like the type of AI that we're talking about here, which is like generative
Have
AI.
you not watched a Marvel movie? As we discussed last time, it's all CGI.
Right, CGI is made by artists, humans that make the models.
What do you think the AI can't do that too?
I'm 100% sure the AI can't do it. Have you seen the really terrible AI generated videos that come out? They're garbage.
Have
People
you
have
seen
like 10
the
fingers.
deepfake videos that come out that are so realistic?
Deepfake videos are based on real videos, and they just map people's faces to the face.
Yeah,
of
sure.
another person.
Studios could do that for sure. Especially if it's like a biofilm. They could just take the real thing and then put an artist's like face on it and map it that way.
Right, but that's not the type of AI that we're talking about here with like Sky. This is generative AI where it's coming out of nothing, right? It might be based on a human's voice, but it's you can type in whatever you want it to say, or type in a prompt and it'll say anything. It can say theoretically anything in a response to you.
Yeah.
So it's not the same as like, oh, here's a pre-existing video, and we're just gonna intentionally, an artist will take somebody else's face and be like, here, match it up to this face. It's more like, imagine you were making a film and you were like, well, I don't want to actually have to go through the trouble of like hiring an actor, buying a camera, anything like that.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, I'm just going to type in a prompt. Hey, Thanos gets his head chopped off. And then the AI would then generate a video for you based on that. That's a totally different level of, generative AI. And I think that we're not quite there yet where it's cinematic quality. And I don't think we'll get there for a little bit.
Hey, Justin, could I just like talk to you for like 1 sec?
Sure.
Just like in the kitchen. Just like, it's not a big deal, but just over there. Would that be okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I thought that we weren't going to get into the weeds. Okay, I just have to tell you, like, I love you, but like, it really does feel like you're getting in the weeds. So I think we just have to move on.
All right, we're moving on.
Okay, okay, like, just be chill. Like, just like, let's reset and like, we'll go back out there and like, everything's fine. Okay. Like, I'm not mad.
Seems like you might be mad.
I'm not. It's fine. Okay, let's go back out. I just have to say, like, it just seems like you have kind of an attitude today. I don't really know what that's about, but like, I just really think you need this holiday weekend. But like, let's go back out there. Like, everything's fine. Like, I'm over it.
I think we all need the holiday weekend.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Glad we agree that you have a bad attitude. Okay. Let's go back. Bye.
Okay.
Anyway, so we're back now.
So Scarlett Johansson. So in her response to OpenAI about this, she said that she needed to take a little bit of time to decide whether she wanted to be associated with this AI voice Sky.
Yeah.
And eventually, she never came to a decision, but OpenAI put out this voice anyways, Sky. And when it did, I guess Scarlett was getting a bunch of like text messages, just like everybody talking to her was like, have you heard this voice? It sounds just like you. And she then reached out to ChatGPT again, released this statement, and I think in the statement calls for U.S. legislators to pass legislation kind of like restricting this type of thing, implying that ChatGPT had used her voice potentially from like all of the films and stuff that she's been in.
Sure.
So I think that kicked off, this discussion has been happening and bubbling and eventually, occasionally boiling over about the use of AI in art. But I think this really kicked off like a new segment of that where people have been talking about using people's, voice or likeness or writing as fodder for this generative AI stuff. So yeah, I have a couple more details to add at the back end of this, but do you have any thoughts about that?
A couple more details. We've been talking about this for 10 minutes already. What else?
How long did we talk about we talked about the Met Gala for 45 minutes, bro.
I know, but we're growing. Remember, that's the whole theme of this.
Well, I'm asking what your thoughts are.
Okay, my thoughts are Scarlett Johansson, go after these fools. They clearly already were working on this, right? And had this technology when they asked you to be a part of it. They probably already had been like mining audio and like having their computer models learn what her voice sounded like before they even asked her to get involved. They did that to like get her on board, use her celebrity status or permanent A-list status to like help promote this new feature. And they were also like, it's also good because like she will not sue us because she's gonna like see that check and be like, yeah, I'll do it. They didn't anticipate that she was going to be so concerned about this and what it really meant for the entertainment industry and just like society at large. I think that they really missed the mark here. I think that they were already planning on doing this anyway. They said we're gonna like get her at the last minute and approach her again, see if she's interested. And they were like, yeah. And then she was like, no, I'm all set. And they just released it anyway. Like, this is just shady.
Yeah, something fishy is going on here. So the last couple of details that I wanted to add is that earlier today, there was a piece published by the Washington Post. And I will mention that the Washington Post is famously owned by tech giant Amazon.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of inside baseball going on here. But this Washington Post article talks about some documents and recordings that were shared by ChatGPT that apparently described that this voice did not use Scarlett Johansson's voice in its formation. They hired, again, a non-union actor to play this voice. And that Scarlett Johansson, at least she was contacted maybe to be like a person to promote it. But her voice wasn't used to make the voice.
Nah, I don't believe that. This sounds like propaganda to me. I don't trust any of those fuckers.
Right. And I think, like, I mean, I see this and I'm like, okay, I'm sure that they didn't literally scrape Scarlett's voice to make this, but that doesn't mean that they didn't base the voice on her.
Right.
Like, Sam Altman literally tweeted her a clear reference to the film.
Yeah.
This is what I don't understand about all these AI idiots is, like, they just see this shit in like fiction and they're like, that seems like a cool idea. Apparently not even engaging with the movie or book or whatever it is at all. Because if you actually watch that movie, if you actually watch that movie, what's the message? The message is like, maybe AI is like a mysterious thing that is unknowable and doesn't really have an interest in having a relationship with us.
Yeah.
So why are we building it? You know?
Right. I think the whole message of that movie is let's not say we did.
It's a great film. And it seems like whoever at ChatGPT is a fan of it just completely misinterpreted it. It reminds me of like an Elon Musk type move. And I think that Sam Altman in the tech world has been generally like well regarded compared to somebody like the Zuck or somebody like Elon. But this really feels like a Jurassic Park, type of situation. You could, but should you?
One could, but should one?
Exactly.
Parks and Rec. Damn. Yeah. You know how I feel about AI. I don't trust it. I don't think we need to be engaging with it. I think people are really jumping on the bandwagon here for the last couple of years, and they're not thinking about all of the different implications this could have for the way that we exist in the world in the future. And the robots are going to kill us all.
I wouldn't doubt it at this point, Jeff.
Please, take me now. I'm ready. Let's change gears a little bit. I want to quickly promote this, which I'm very excited about. Our Queen Céline has a documentary coming out on Amazon Prime on June 25th. I'm so excited to see a return of her. Have you seen the trailer?
I have not seen the trailer, no.
Okay, you need to take a couple minutes after the pod, and I want you to watch it because it is like, it's only like a minute and 30 seconds long, but it's very harrowing. For those who don't know, Celine Dion's been kind of like out of the spotlight for like the last like 5 years or so. She had to like postpone and then ultimately cancel her most recent effort to tour because she's been diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, which is a really, really rare medical condition that causes muscle spasms and rigidity, and that just makes it really difficult to move around. And more than just like muscle spasm, it also like makes it sometimes difficult or impossible to speak and use your voice. So I'm really glad to see that she is like in recovery. She's doing better, and we saw her return to the stage of the Grammys this year, which was awesome. And I'm really excited to see this documentary about her trying to like put her life back together after this diagnosis, and it basically like putting her entire life on pause.
So is this documentary focused on post-diagnosis, or does it also include early career?
I think that it like is kind of like right beforehand. I think that my understanding is, and this could be wrong, listeners write in if it's wrong, but my understanding is that this is like some clips of her like preparing for her tour and ultimately getting the diagnosis because she just wasn't feeling right, and then like it's also like during this time that she was like out of the spotlight, it's like clips of her trying to like put her life back together and doing these different treatments and taking medication to try to be better, feel better. So I'm excited for the return of Queen Céline. I'm here for it. She's one of our greatest treasures.
Yeah, maybe I'll watch with you. That would be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah,
love it.
Next time I'm in Connecticut,
or next time I'm in DC.
Yeah, whichever comes first.
I actually have to talk to you post pod because I'm like coming to Maryland in a couple weeks.
Maryland?
Yeah,
that's super close.
Maryland. Yeah, my friend is having a baby, and I'm going to the baby shower that her family is throwing. Her in-laws are throwing, which is very sweet.
Wow. Very cool, very cool.
Getting old, it's crazy. People are just like buying houses. They're turning like into their mid-30s. And I remain here in my late 20s. It's wild.
Yeah, crazy how everybody else gets older, but you stay the same.
I know. People should study me. What else? Give me another hot topic. What else you got?
Well, the Cannes Film Festival happened.
It did. Can I just say before we even start to get into this, these gratuitous 8, 7, 7-minute standing ovations are out of control. Out of control. I'm seeing all these TikToks that are like literally like 60 seconds long, and it's just people standing on their feet clapping and staring at the production team and the stars of the films that they have just screened, and it looks so awkward. Could you imagine?
Jeff, and I have to say, I mean, maybe if I'm seeing it like the best movie I've ever seen in my life for the first time, and I'm in a film festival, everybody's like in tuxes, I'm feeling fancy, maybe then I'm like, you know what? I deserve a little bit of navel gazing. I'll clap for this for 7 minutes. But what if the movie is garbage? For example, Kevin Costner's new film, Horizon: An American Saga, which, side note, absolutely terrible name.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, I don't even like the title. Tell me more about this. I don't know anything about this film.
Jeff, I think you would love to hate on this film with me because... Okay, first of all, this movie got a 7-minute standing ovation at Cannes, right?
So did every movie, by the way.
Well, you would think, okay, I don't know enough about film festivals to understand like what the courtesy is. Like,
all I know is I never want to go to one. I'm not doing all that.
Like smaller ones might be fun.
Maybe.
You know? But yeah, so this movie got a 7-minute standing ovation, which you would think means that it's a good film.
Okay.
When the critics' takes came out about this film, they were pretty much all bad.
Really?
And let me tell you the history of this.
Okay.
So you're familiar with Kevin Costner.
Yeah. Yellowstone.
All right. Yes, give me 1 second. I'm going to take this squeaky toy away from Ellie.
Okay.
And we're back. Okay.
Wait, yeah. So Yellowstone, and I can't name another Kevin Costner movie, but I know he's like a big movie star, especially like in the 90s.
He was in like Dances with Wolves.
Dances with Wolves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's known for being in Westerns. Obviously, Yellowstone is like a Western TV show. Showrunner is Taylor Sheridan. He's like maybe the biggest guy in TV right now. Yellowstone is like the new NCIS. Like everybody's dad watches this fucking show. Yes, the olds love this show. Mm-hmm. Right. And there was drama, maybe you haven't heard, but there was drama between Taylor Sheridan and Kevin Costner. So Kevin Costner used to be the star of Yellowstone.
Used to?
Right. He basically quit due to some kind of conflict between him and Taylor Sheridan.
Creative differences.
And when he quit, he was like, yeah, quote unquote, creative differences. But what he ended up doing was he was like, I'm just going to do my own Yellowstone. He was like, I'm going to make a movie franchise with 4 films.
Oh, no.
Called Horizon: An American Saga.
Oh, no.
Part 1 just premiered at Cannes. It's going to drop wide release on June 28th. Okay, let me ask you at this stage, knowing nothing else about it, do you think this will be good?
No, well, of course not. This just sounds like a vanity project.
I mean, it obviously is. And then you watch the trailer, and it's like, the trailer's thesis is basically like, what if we had a Western where the Indians were the bad guys again?
Oh, God. Are you serious?
I'm literally serious. Like
that is the premise of this film?
I mean, I don't know what the film's about. It's just like cowboys and Indians. It's like, do you want to see a Western? Because this is a Western. It stars Kevin Costner.
In like, 2024, we're still making Indigenous Americans the villains?
Yes, I should say the trailer evokes the era of cowboys versus Indians. You know, like that's why I'm using the term Indians here.
No, this is bad. This is so bad. I can't even watch the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it.
Actually, I kind of want to watch it just so I can see how bad it is.
I mean, I like shitting on it.
Oh, yeah. You know I love to hate on shit.
Adding to the Schadenfreude? How do you say that word?
Schadenfreude.
Kevin Costner took like $50 million or something out of his own money to make this project.
Self-funded?
It's partially self-funded.
Okay. This is like this tells me everything I need to know, because most of these like big budget self-funded movies are self-funded because no studio was willing to back it. No production studio was like, yeah, this is a good script and idea.
Right, because I still don't understand what this film is about. It literally just looks like Kevin Costner wanted to play cowboys, and he was like, yeah I'm just going to make a movie about that.
I mean, that's kind of his whole thing.
He filmed parts 1 and 2 back to back, so apparently part 2 is coming out next year. I'm like,
oh, goody.
Who is going to be seeing this? Like, maybe somebody will.
Everyone's dad.
Not me.
Everyone's dad.
Everybody's dad.
CBS crowd.
But I think you might be overestimating the random dad's ability to like connect the dots. Like, Yellowstone is popular because people were watching it on like CBS or whatever, right?
Yeah.
How are people going to know about this fucking movie Horizon: An American Saga? It's not going to be advertised very well because, again, it's mostly self-financed. So like,
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure some of that money is going to like the marketing budget. It's got to be.
I would not be surprised if like a few months after the release, you'll see this kind of take on like Tucker Carlson and stuff where it's like, the left canceled Kevin Costner for this film, and that's why this movie flopped. Like, I can't wait for that narrative. But I think it's gonna flop extremely hard. You know, like it just doesn't look good.
Here's what I would do if I was their marketing director for this movie. I'm going to go to some lower cost cable networks. I'm talking like TNT, TBS, TV Land, and I'm gonna say run these commercials like around like 4:30 when people are just starting to think about dinner time.
That's the demographic right there.
Yep. Then I'm gonna say we gotta advertise in the Wall Street Journal and USA Today. That's where the money's going.
All right. Well, I think Kevin Costner, if you're looking for somebody to hire for a low salary, Jeff, what's your pitch?
What's my pitch?
Yeah, a reasonable salary for your publicist duties for Kevin Costner.
Well, I'll have to do a little bit of research, but I'd say I won't get out of bed for less than $10,000 a day.
That sounds reasonable.
I think
Kevin
so, too.
Costner, you can always email us at bantspod@gmail.com if you're interested.
Like, follow, and subscribe. I think that wraps our hot topic on problematic white men of the day. But while we're talking about cans, I want to talk about this. I'm going to just assume, as with my references, you have not seen this hot topic, which was Kelly Rowland on the red carpet at the Cannes Film Festival.
You are correct in assuming that,
I knew it. Wow. Standard, white passing, straight man. You're white passing because it's still May. We'll give it a couple more months, then you'll actually look Latinx. But anyways, Kelly Rowland was on the red carpet at the Cannes Film Festival, invited, looking fly, looking sexy, looking fresh, and she got into it with a security person on the carpet.
Ooh.
So she's on the red carpet doing her thing, and all of a sudden, all these security guards come over, and they start, like, blocking photographers from taking photos of her, which seems odd to me. So, and then people appear in front of her, and they're, like, ushering her. They're like, please, this way, please, this way. So she's going up the steps, and she's turning around to do photos on the stairs, because there's all kinds of photographers there as well. And this one female security guard gets really close to her, and is still, like, trying to block photographers from shooting her. Kelly Rowland is like turned back around, looking down the stairs now at the photographers who are still there. And this lady's putting her arms out like this, going in her face, like so the photographers can't get a shot. So Kelly Rowland turns to her.
Wait, hold on. This is so odd. This doesn't happen commonly, like on the Cannes red carpet.
Well, this is what I'm getting to exactly. Kelly Rowland, the security guard who's like doing this, steps on her dress, and Kelly Rowland, it looks like she turns and mouth, and like you can't hear anything because there's no microphones over there. But it looks like she's like she puts her hand up and out in front of her, which is like clearly giving like the signal like give me space, like you're in my personal space. And the lady just like insists that and keeps like she's staying right where she is and still waving her arms. And then Kelly Rowland like puts her finger out and is like like admonishing this woman for like her getting in her face. And she's like, don't talk to me like that. Don't talk to me like that, over and over again, and starts walking up the steps. Then I don't know if she's like on Kelly's team, a publicist, or just a friend comes up behind her and puts her arm on Kelly's back and is like guiding her up the steps and is also yelling at the security person. And what was weird to me was not like that they're ushering people around, because that's like part of their job. They've got to keep people moving. I get that. But what's odd to me is that another celebrity who was also invited, Heidi Klum, who came, was taking her sweet time on the carpet, posing. Going up the stairs, also posing. No security came over and was like rushing her off the stage. It read to me very much as like a racist act. Like they didn't want this black woman, this chocolate black woman, to be like promoting the festival. Something about it just sat strange with me.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a race element to this, but I think the other thing is that it's like the classic Kelly Rowland dynamic of like always the bridesmaid, never the bride,
I hate that she's seen that way because she is such a talent. I mean, think of her solo career. When Love Takes Over.
That's a banger.
Great song.
Yeah.
She's underappreciated.
She may be underappreciated, but I will say that she's not quite at Beyonce's level in her solo career, to say the least.
Wow.
Would you agree with that?
Wow. You sounds to me like you're just pitting women against each other, Justin.
No, I want success for both of them.
Cool. Very cool. So, listeners dear, I would just like to mark this timestamp. This is when Justin becomes awful.
Damn.
Problematic on the pod.
Oh, God. I feel like this is going to be a rough episode for me because we are going to talk about Cowboy Carter in our main segment. And listen, I don't want to spoil my thoughts on the album, but I have a feeling that I might be more critical than Geoff.
I have a feeling that I'm going to have to take you down the next segment. So, listeners dear, why don't you take this opportunity to go fix yourself a drink, pop some popcorn, and get ready to enjoy me dragging Justin to filth in this next segment. We'll be right back.
We will be right back. Cannot wait.
Justin, what are you saying? I can't even believe this.
No, I'm just saying. Okay, wait, hold on. Are we? This is.
This is an in between. I don't know what this is yet because I don't know who you are.
I just feel like.
Wait. Okay, hold on. We're back, and we're back.
We are so back.
I am nervous to talk about this with you because I don't like how we are leading into this.
All right, well, I'm going to keep you in suspense for a little bit longer because we got to introduce the topic.
Okay, let's introduce it, but just know that I'm feeling uneasy.
Today, we are talking about Beyonce's 8th album, Cowboy Carter. So this album came out earlier this year in March of 2024. You know, it's largely been discussed as a country album, which is, you know, I don't know. If you're not familiar with Beyonce,
we can't help you.
Yeah, just like unsubscribe. I don't know what to tell you. But I think she's most well known for her like hip hop and, you know, R&B and pop songs more than for country. Even though she is originally from Texas, which obviously has a huge country influence. Yeah, so that's going to be our topic of the day. I think we have a lot to talk about. But Geoff, what's your relationship with Beyonce and her music pre Cowboy Carter?
I would say Beyonce is one of my absolute favorite musical artists, possibly I think she is. She is like my favorite musical artist. I've been a fan of Beyonce since 1996, Destiny's Child. No.
So many bangers.
I mean, I grew up listening to Beyonce. I came of age listening to Beyonce. She's always been like a pop cultural touchstone for me. I respect her hustle. I respect her talent. She's an icon. She is the moment.
She is Beyonce.
Thank you. Have you seen that video where she's she's being interviewed on The View and Whoopi Goldberg is like, I mean, you're Beyonce. And she goes, thank you.
An appropriate response. Like, that's the thing. Like, she truly just is Beyonce. Like, you could call if you called anybody else Beyonce, they would take it as a compliment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Beyonce is obviously, it goes without saying, she's like maybe one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic musical artist of our generation.
Trendsetter.
You know, who else has had such a prolific and long-lasting career? You know, I of course was a fan of, you know, Destiny's Child and Beyonce back into the early 2000s.
Really? Name 3 songs.
Irreplaceable, like
wow. Oh my god. See, I knew this was going to be a tough episode for you, and that I was nervous about this. You're not even a real fan.
That's what I was just about to say, is that I'm not saying I would describe myself as a casual fan until Lemonade would be, I think, the point where I really started paying attention, because when I really started paying attention was that she dropped her surprise album, self-titled, on my 22nd birthday. So on a day that I was looking forward to, Beyonce just fully took over.
Wow, makes it sound like you're making this all about you. Interesting.
But yeah, so I think, truly, Lemonade was for me like a watershed moment of realizing how much of a singular talent Beyonce is. You know, I think I respected her music before. She's always been remarkable just in that she's a great artist. I really loved 4, was probably my favorite album of hers before that.
I love 4. Underrated, vastly underrated. That's one of her best albums.
I truly think so. But then Lemonade came out. Not only was it a concept album, which I'm an absolute sucker for, but it came out with a visual component, which, her previous album, Beyonce, also had a visual component.
Yeah.
But the Lemonade visual component was really next level. And I think I started pretty much paying attention to anything that she did at that point. I've listened to all of her albums front to back multiple times since the drop of Lemonade. I would say that, at this point, Lemonade is probably still my favorite Beyonce album.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a hot take.
I don't think so. I think a lot of people would agree.
Yeah. And did that win the Grammy for Best Album? No, she still has one Album of the Year.
Are you joking
She
me?
lost famously.
Wow.
Right?
Yes, exactly. Adele won that year for 25.
Ugh. A great album, but Beyonce should have won. I'm sorry.
No kidding. You're preaching the choir, honey.
But yeah, I think number 2 is probably Renaissance, which is the album that immediately preceded this album, Cowboy Carter. But yeah, that's my history with Beyonce. I think that I would describe myself as a casual fan and maybe a more dedicated fan post-Lemonade.
Okay. That's fair. You saw the light.
Yes, I eventually, came to Jesus, aka Beyonce.
Jesus. I want to know what you think about Cowboy Carter.
Well, maybe it would be instructive to talk a little bit about kind of the theme of Cowboy Carter and country music. To give a little bit of context here, the album right before this was called Renaissance, and it was subtitled, or maybe just titled, Act 1, implying that there were further acts, right?
Indeed.
And Renaissance was a very dance-focused album. It had a lot of disco and house and techno-inspired tracks. This one, when it was first announced, which was during the Super Bowl this year, it dropped with 2 accompanying singles, Texas Hold'em and 16 Carriages.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those singles had very strong country elements. So I think everybody kind of knew when those 2 singles dropped, let's go, Beyonce country album, let's buy some cowboy hats, right?
I do think there were elements of that in Renaissance, like the visuals that came out. But what's interesting is that the real fans, my fellow members of the Beehive, know that Cowboy Carter was actually intended to be the first of this in this series of albums, which she's told us that she's doing 3 acts, 3 albums that are all each an act in this collective work. And Cowboy Carter was initially supposed to be Act 1. So this album has been done and shelved for a few years. She was going to release it during 2020, but then of course, the world shut down, and she decided to instead, once things started really opening up and the lockdowns were pretty much over within the United States, she decided to release Renaissance because she was like, we need fun music to get people out of the house and into the club.
Right, which it absolutely did. Loved Renaissance.
Absolutely did. But the artwork that accompanied Renaissance, which we're still waiting on the visuals for, please, we need them. We're thirsty. We're dying for them. She still had like a lot of cowboy imagery in that. It was like very disco cowboy inspired, which was like a big fashion trend, like even just last year.
Right, and I think that the album art for Cowboy Carter is, in addition to like the Act 1, Act 2 link, the album art of the 2 albums really connect the 2 works as being like a part of the same sequence, right? So Renaissance has Beyonce sitting, looking forward on kind of this like discoified horse.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboy Carter has her sitting side saddle, so kind of the horse is facing left, but Beyonce is facing like us, the listener. And she's holding an American flag with a sash that says Cowboy Carter. And she's wearing like rodeo attire.
Mm-hmm. Very patriotic rodeo attire.
Right. I think that's actually a key theme of the album, is like Beyonce's relationship with nationalism, patriotism,
Mm-hmm.
America in general,
Mm-hmm.
and her roots, right? Because she is from Texas. She had roots where she would attend, the Houston rodeo every year.
And like all the Texas pageants that she used to participate in as a child.
Right. She performed at the rodeo multiple times during her early career in the 2000s. So she has a country history.
Yeah, she been country.
Right. I think a lot of people, and by people I mean absolute fools, like saw this album and were like, why is Beyonce trying to move into the country space? Like I went on Our Country, the subreddit, just to look at some people's takes about the album.
God. Okay, that sounds dark.
It was dark. So there was a really great breakdown by somebody who really enjoyed the album, and a lot of the comments were like, why is Beyonce trying so hard to be country? Like, this is cringe or whatever. And it's like, dude, Beyonce is absolutely pure country, right? And this is like a recurring theme with Beyonce. So she performed Irreplaceable, a countryified version of it, at the American Music Awards. And then after that, she put out a single, Daddy Lessons from Lemonade,
Mm-hmm.
which I think for me at least was the time where I was like, oh, Beyonce can do country music and she can do it really well.
Yeah.
And then she performed the track with the Chicks at the CMAs, the Country Music Awards. And this was in 2016.
Yeah.
And there was a whole discourse about this when it happened, right? Because
let's talk about this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Firstly, it needs to be acknowledged that that was the most viewed country music awards ever because
highest viewership ever
because she was there. Like
She's Beyonce.
She commands that kind of attention. So the country music community should be kissing the ground she walks on for bringing in an audience that does not typically watch or listen to that kind of music and does not watch the CMA Awards and doesn't really care that much about the country music scene, which is a strong industry and is an important musical industry. But she brought in people who don't typically listen to it because she was at the awards. And during this award show, there were artists walking out, people booing her, and people generally just not giving her good energy while she was doing what can only be described as a killer performance with the Chicks.
Yeah, and Daddy Lessons is a great song. Like, it's an incredible song. You know, thematically, it's about going back to her roots. I mean, which is, again, Texas roots. Like, you can't get more country than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then the CMAs actually took down a lot of the promotional posts about Beyonce's performance in response to the, I would describe it as racist backlash to this.
Yeah.
Which is complete bullshit. So to me, when I heard that she was putting out a country album, I was like, oh, this is like when Jay-Z cheated on her and she put out Lemonade. Like, she's going to be mad. You know what I mean? Like, she is going to be addressing this paradox of, like, coming from America, having this Americana upbringing, and then being rejected by that community when she decided to kind of, like, show those roots, you know?
Yeah, 100%. You know what? I think that the world in general is not good about accepting people for their many intersectional identities and their multiculturalism. Like, I think that is just something that we've all experienced. I think I think that genres and racism and colorism just like kind of reaffirm that, especially in the music and entertainment industry.
I'm going to talk a lot about how I think my personal views of country have shifted in recent times, but I think especially the country music community, at least during that era, 2007 to 2016, like, you know, there were a lot of racist country fans. Like, and I think that country in particular, there still are, obviously. There's racist fans of all kinds of music, you know. But I think that it's definitely enriched in country fans, especially country fans from the South who, you know, they have this cultural heritage of racism.
Yeah.
Is that offensive? I don't know. I guess I don't care.
No, I think that I think it's totally accurate. I think that I think that racism is so deeply entrenched in much of Southern culture that people aren't even aware of it.
So maybe this is a good time to get into our individual relationships with country music, because we both grew up in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a child or a teenager, I always thought country music was kind of cringe. You know, outside of like like a couple of artists like Shania Twain or something like that who crossed over into the pop sphere a little bit.
Up, 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 it only goes up from here.
Underrated.
Great song.
But yeah, I kind of just thought, like, why are we talking about like beer and trucks and girls, and that's the only thing we can talk about, and every song sounds the same? And I think that extended into pretty late in my life until like very recently. Most pop country, and I don't want to generalize to all country artists, because I'm sure there's always been like alternative country artists, indie country artists who are kind of doing interesting things.
Yeah.
But the type of country music that you hear on the radio, at least in Connecticut, it all sounds the same. It's all like very lowest common denominator type songwriting, right?
Yeah. Talk about playing to the middle.
I think country as a genre has its roots in like folk music, which to me has always been way more interesting because it's kind of the music of like lived experience, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely like a style that is based in storytelling first. Like, that's the most important part of it.
Absolutely. And early country music was like that, but I think the country music of like the 2000s and the early 2010s was very much like, you got people like Keith Urban who are from Australia, they're multimillionaires, and they're talking about like dirt on my boots or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it always seemed to me to be very cynical. But I think that in recent times, there has been a little bit of a shift where there are some country leaning artists like Casey Musgraves, for example. You know, I really enjoyed her latest album that came out this year.
Deeper Well?
Yes, Deeper Well is the name of the album. Brings back a little bit of that folk energy, a little bit more of that, true lived experience where they don't feel like they have to pander to people who want to hear music about trucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've really enjoyed that. And I will say that a blind spot for me has always been female country artists, because I think that women have been putting out pretty quality country music even during that period. Like the Chicks, right? Shania Twain, like I mentioned before. Yep. These are people who have been putting out quality country music even during that kind of like dark age of pop country.
I would say some might consider like Sheryl Crow and Bonnie Raitt also as country singers. I don't know that I necessarily would, but I think that they certainly have put out country music. I just think generally that like genres are restrictive in nature, and I think there's also an aspect of what was popular like in the era of country music that you're referring to, like when we were growing up, like the late 90s and early 2000s, where it was like all about boots and trucks and pry our guns from our hands when we're dead or whatever, that whole thing. Try and take them. I think that like in that whole era of country music, I think that there's a lot of it that was deeply influenced by like the events of September 11th.
Yes.
It became like very nationalist and leaned into that, and leaned into like a very toxic form of patriotism. And, I think that really influenced that entire industry. I think music in general like reacted in a very patriotic nationalist kind of way after those terrorist attacks.
There was some aggressive country songs that came out of that era.
Yeah, looking back, it's pretty. I mean, we shouldn't even get into this, but like, what a deeply dark time in our history. And I'm talking mostly about the reactions and events that unfolded after 9/11. I mean, obviously that was a terrible day, but good God, the stuff that the U.S. was putting out and the propaganda that our government was feeding is just like out of control. But that's for a different pod. But yeah, I would say that like my upbringing was like not very heavy into country music. We listened to like a lot of classic rock in my household from my mom, and then my dad was really into like hip hop and R&B. So I didn't really have a ton of country. My mom was a huge fan of Shania Twain, Sheryl Crow, Bonnie Raitt, Tracy Chapman, Melissa Etheridge. Those are all people that I would consider within the vein of country music. They've at least put out country songs. But I would say that was kind of my only exposure to that type of music. I don't have like a depth of knowledge about it. I could talk about pop all day, but right. the country music exposure for me was fairly low. And I think even at a young age, I like could sense from the reactions and behavior of adults that are around me, like at like, neighborhood barbecues and family events sometimes even, that the culture around country music was one that I was not interested in being a part of. Like, it felt very homophobic. It felt racist. It felt very exclusionary and kind of like fake working class.
Just fake.
Type
I mean,
of
like,
pandering.
We grew up in Connecticut.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're listening to country music in Connecticut and it's that type of country music, why? Because like, dude, your dad is wearing a fucking polo shirt and probably golfing right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not country. Like, you're not country at all. Like, the best that you got is maybe you have a truck. That's the best you can do in Connecticut. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's literally the least country state in the country.
I would say like where we grew up in Connecticut along the shoreline was like that. But have you ever been in the quiet corner?
Jeff, I have, and I have to say, it's not as country as Texas. Like,
no,
it's
absolutely
even there,
not.
it's not
I'm not
country.
saying that.
You know what I mean?
No,
like,
I'm not saying that it's as country, but I'm saying it is country up there in a different way.
Yeah, but people aren't working at like car factories. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, it does feel. It feels like these people are almost like culture vultures.
They're cosplaying as cowboys.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think that pinpoints what I didn't like about that era of country music, was it's like you've got this entire category of uber rich people who are making so much money, basically making songs
about working class experience that they don't have, they didn't experience, and don't currently live either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's analogous to it's analogous to the same dynamic in like hip hop music, where rappers come up and they are working class, and they rap about that. And then as they get richer, the difference in hip hop is that people are honest about their experiences, right? So like Jay-Z in 444 talks about his experience being like maybe the most famous rapper in the world, right? So like, I think that's a difference, and it never happened in country music, which is why it always seemed more cynical to me. and I shouldn't say that it never happened, because as we're going to talk about, there are country artists and people who write country music who do talk about these real issues and their actual lives.
The chicks.
Yep.
Chicks.
Okay, so let's get into the actual album.
Hocus Pocus reference. Okay.
I'll break the suspense here. I loved this album.
Hooray!
I don't think it's a flawless album.
Take that point back.
I still like Renaissance better. I still like Lemonade better. But I do think that part of the reason why is because I just have this lived bias against country style music. You know what I mean?
Justin, I love that you are acknowledging your weakness, because you have a lot of them. So you should talk about it more often.
Well, Geoff, you have no weaknesses, so let's hear your opinion.
No, I think that this album is great. I would give it like a solid 9 out of 10. Renaissance for me is like a 10 out of 10, hands down. That and Self-Titled, I think, are my favorite Beyonce albums, period. But I thought that this was really good. What I love about this album is that this is absolutely a country album, in that it is storytelling first. There are so many songs that are about her own lived experience, the lived experience that is either similar or along the same vein of the writers of the songs who collaborated with her. And I really like what the album has to say overall about the state of America. And it's, I would say and when I say our, I mean like our collective American society. I would say our incapability of like reckoning with our horribly bloody and dark past.
Right. And it also, I think, deals from Beyonce's perspective of still having nostalgic feelings about her past, you know, of, again, growing up in Texas, having like a country background, and then the conflict or the cognitive dissonance that happens when she is then, you know, removed from that sphere by like society or by that community, right? I think she talks a lot about that. And I think that's one thing that I really love about the album, is that she could have just put out like a straight up down the middle country album and she would have killed it, right? Like you got songs like Texas Hold'em on here. That song is just a straight up, you know, radio country banger. Like that would do well and it has done well on like mainstream country radio, right? She could have put out an album that's all that. She didn't do that, right? No. She was like, I'm not going to conform to what the public thinks that country is.
Yep.
I'm going to put out a Beyonce album that is true to my country roots. And that is something that's like different and distinct from like what popular country is, right? That's something that I absolutely loved about it.
Yeah, me too. And you're right. She could have like played it safe, like you said, and gone for like, I'm going to put out like 3 top 10 country hits and they're going to be great and I'm going to make a lot of money. But like, to me, this album is much more than that. I think that, like I said before, it's country in that it is her experience. It's about storytelling. And it also is really cool the way that she kind of weaves in like the experience of other Black country artists into the album.
It's almost like this is like a parallel history that she's established, where it's like, what if country music wasn't racist? Like, what would it be like now, you know? And then like, in my mind, this album is kind of separated into maybe like 3 phases. There's like a phase where it's like, I'm going to do some country stuff. There's a phase where she's like, I'm going to start mixing a little bit of other genres in there. Yep. And then there's a final phase where it's like, I'm just throwing shit out here. I'm just throwing out bangers left and right here. And it seems like each of those is kind of like moving a little bit farther away from what we think of as country now. And more into what I think Beyonce kind of like wants country to be, you know, or like thinks that it could have been.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I do agree with you that there are like distinct like phases of this album. And because I'm a member of the Beehive, I am always thinking about like this collective work, the different acts, what it's going to all look like together. And like, to me, the back end of the album, the third act of this album is kind of gearing us up to go into Renaissance.
Interesting. You know what? Okay, I think we should get into that, but let's talk chronologically through the track list a little bit.
Let's.
So, to me, that first kind of country-heavy section obviously starts with the first track, American Requiem.
Great.
and goes through to maybe Daughter. Would you agree with that?
I think so, yeah.
And that's 11 tracks.
Yeah.
So
It's a long album.
let me start with maybe my, biggest problem with this album is that I think it might have too many songs. It's a little bit long. The total length is 78 minutes, so that's, an hour and 20 minutes longer than, Renaissance, longer than Lemonade.
But it is still shorter than a lot of movies that have been coming out. It's a lot shorter than Poor Things. It is so much shorter. What's that movie? I forget the name right now.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Killers of the Flower Moon. You could listen to that album twice, and Killers of the Flower Moon would not even be finished.
Right, but that's comparing apples and oranges. I think that like an album that's over an hour is the equivalent of like a movie that's over 3 hours.
I don't agree with that.
In terms of just like norms.
Oh, so you're saying Beyonce should just stick to the norms, Justin? Is that what you're trying to say? Are you trying to hold a black woman down, Justin?
Oh my God.
That's what it sounds like to me.
I am not saying that.
Okay.
All that I'm trying to say
You're saying it with your
is
words.
that I think this is an album that is extremely long, and there are songs that I really like that are in here.
Okay.
There's also a lot of songs that I think are intentionally calling out figures in Black country music history and other figures in country music history that are, just like 1 or 2 minutes long, but there's like a dozen of those types of songs on here. And some of them could have been cut. So like from this first third, I'm like, do we really need a Beatles cover? Like,
Wait.
I know what Blackbird sounds like.
Okay, yes, but this song, I think, was a cool choice for her to use because a lot of people don't know, or really have just like never considered probably, that Blackbird was like a civil rights protest song. Like, a lot of people don't realize that. And so what she tried to do here was to like acknowledge the Beatles in their infinite wisdom and say, like, pay homage to that struggle and to bring in new voices to give them like a platform that they wouldn't have. She wanted to bring in these 4 other Black female country artists who are doing well, but don't have like the platform or the support of like the country music, and I'm saying country music, capital C, capital M machine behind them.
As in CMAs, yeah. I mean, I understand the intention, but like when I'm listening to the album and there's this epic opener, American Requiem, and then I'm like, all right, let's get into it. What's the next song gonna be? And then I'm like, oh, okay, it's Blackbird. I know this song.
Okay.
Like, if I understand the purpose of it in the form of a work, and I think that like as a critic, in my critical mind, I'm like, I understand what's happening here. But like, if I'm listening to this as like a listener, just like on Apple Music or Spotify or whatever, I'm skipping Blackbird every time.
Okay.
I want to get right into 16 Carriages, And these other country artists that she features, Brittany Spencer, Raina Roberts, Tanner Adele, and Tierra Kennedy. There's like 30 other songs on this album that they could have been featured on. Do you know what I mean? Like, she could have featured these artists anywhere else.
She wanted to feature the Blackbirds.
I know, but I'm just like, we know Blackbird.
But she wanted to feature the Blackbirds.
Jeff,
the Black singers.
I understood what you said.
But you're not acknowledging.
She could have featured the Blackbirds on any other song, is what I'm saying.
All right, well, I love wordplay, so I'm into it. Maybe, okay, I could agree with you that it's not like the right placement for that song, because American Requiem is like a truly, I don't want to use the word epic because I hate when people say epic, but like it really is like a grand song in its scale.
Yeah.
And
it's dramatic.
The magnitude of the song, and then going into like a quiet kind of folk song. I don't necessarily like the juxtaposition of those two songs next to each other. So I think like keep Blackbird, maybe move it in a different spot in the album. Let's talk 16 Carriages. What are your thoughts?
Okay, 16 Carriages, I love.
Me too.
So this was when she first dropped the first 2 singles. It was 16 Carriages and Texas Hold'em. 16 Carriages by far was my favorite of the two.
It's a better song
at first.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely dramatic. It's kind of like I don't know. I guess American Requiem is also a thesis statement for the album, but it's very much a country song where it's like, here's where I came from, and then as the song progresses, it's like, here's where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've evolved. A lot of things have changed, but I still feel like I'm in the same place.
The song is literally her like looking in the rear view of her like childhood and her career.
Exactly, and it's also musically really interesting. It's like very dramatic country influenced music, right?
Yep.
There's some great I think it's like upslides on the guitar on each of those like big slams that are so satisfying to hear and very country vibes. So yeah, that's one of my favorites. And listen, if I'm being really harsh here, I think you could have just cut Blackbird and American Requiem. It would have been a great album opener. You know what I mean? I love American Requiem. I understand the cyclical nature of the album.
Yeah.
But like 16 Carriages kind of serves a similar purpose to American Requiem.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
So going through the rest of this country section, there's Protector.
I was kind of mid about that one, to be honest.
Okay, I'm going to be blunt here. This is the section that I like the least. And I think this is maybe my only other critique of the album. So we're getting them out of the way early.
Okay.
I think that this first section...
Good. Holding a gun to the microphone.
This section is a little bit sleepy for me. And I think it's because of my country music bias. Like, I am just not into this style of music as much as I was into like the dance styles that were in Renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't feel carried through by Protector or My Rose, you know?
Yeah, I think they were like sweet songs. I'm sure that for her they were extremely personal, and I think this album is extremely personal, so I think that's probably why she wanted to include it. We know that she like loves her children, and so she loves to also feature them, which I don't necessarily love that myself, but you know, I get why she kept them in. It just felt complete to her.
And if I was a parent, I suspect that Protector might hit a little bit harder for me.
Sure.
Like, as it stands right now, I don't have any kids. I listen to it, I'm like, this is really nice, but like, I'm not gonna put this on when I'm trying to drive or something, you know?
Yeah, I need to go back to something that you just said, which is of great concern to me. You said, as of now, I don't have kids. What's that about?
I'm just saying that there is a possibility in the future that I'll have kids, you know, who knows?
Okay.
No plans at this point, Jeff, don't worry.
All right, well, maybe we should talk about that off mic, because I think that that's not the best move for me.
Well, we all know that your wishes are top priority when it comes to my personal life.
Thank God.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Smoke Hour, Willie Nelson? I thought it was kind of fun.
This is maybe one of the interludes that I would have kept, because it introduces this conceit of it being a radio show.
Yeah.
Which I think is really nice. There's a lot of like radio clips of older country songs in there too. This is an opportunity that she could have taken to maybe have more of those kind of cameos from other country artists, you know, instead of having like dedicated songs. Like later on, for example, they have a Chuck Berry kind of like weirdly chipmunk remixed Oh Louisiana. That's like almost a minute long. Just have a little clip of that in Smoke Hour with Willie Nelson. You know, like we don't need that whole chipmunkified Chuck Berry in there. You know what I'm saying? I
actually will have to get back to that, because I have thoughts about that song and the one that precedes it.
Okay. But yeah, I thought it was cute, and Willie Nelson is a character. I think he's always been like an alt country character, given that he likes to smoke a lot of weed.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit anti-establishment.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I like that she included him in this, because she was like, I think she did an interesting job here of like bringing in like somebody who's like widely celebrated by country as a whole, which I'm talking about Dolly Parton, and then bringing in unknowns, you know, people who are new to the game and like, you know, aren't in the cultural zeitgeist, and then somebody who only recently, when it became like cool to be a pothead, like Willie Nelson has been embraced by everybody, you know, not just country artists, but also by like people who just think that he's like a cool older guy who has very progressive views for someone of his generation.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, the features are great on this album. But yeah, I think then the next song is, I would say, the radio smash.
Yeah, Texas
Hold'em, which I didn't like. At first, when I heard it, I was like, okay, this one kind of just sounds like a truck commercial. And then it grew on me a lot.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's just like a great pop song.
Yeah.
Like, it has country stylings, but it's a great pop song.
Yes, it's very well produced.
One little tiny thing that I really like that adds to the country vibes, and is also something that I just like in general in music, is that there's a lot of like cricket sounds in the beginning of the song.
Yeah.
Which is so, I love like experiential touches like that, where it puts you into a headspace where you're like, okay, maybe I'm like at a campfire and we're listening to this or something, you know?
That's also why I like the Smoke Hour part, because I'm like, ooh, like we're just like cruising around, driving in our car in this American Southwest, and we're like looking for something to listen to on the radio. Like, it's a fun kind of like nostalgic thing, and I like that about Texas Hold'em too. I love the like, it just feels like a fun like hootenanny, like you just drove out to a random dive bar in the country.
Right, we're at a party. You know
Come on in, we're gonna holler and swaller. Woo!
it's maybe the purest like radio country song on here, and I think it's maybe the only one. Like the others, we'll get into it, but like they have like little bits of other genres kind of added in. This is the one where she was like, I'm just gonna do a country banger,
full-blown country. And
yeah.
what I also like about Beyonce that we haven't really talked about yet is that she is a petty queen. Like, she loves to use her art to, like, get back at her critics, and to people who have done her wrong. And I think this song was I think a lot of people were saying, like, after the 2016 performance she did at the CMAs, like, Beyonce will never be embraced by the country music industry, and she can never be a country artist. She will only find success doing typical black music. And so I think this was her being like, fuck you guys, I can do whatever the fuck I want, and I'm gonna do it well, and I'm gonna make that coin.
Right. I mean, she was basically just saying like, oh, you think that I can't make good country music, or I don't belong here? Yeah. Let me just really quick top the country charts.
Yeah.
In every category, yeah.
Now check that.
Yeah. And not only that, but like the sales of country music attire, like cowboy boots, cowboy hats, etc., bolo ties, they skyrocketed after this album came out.
Doesn't surprise me.
If you actually care about country culture, like, why
celebrate
are you
this.
shitting on this?
Yeah, exactly. Like, because it's, of course, not about that. It's about racism and people feeling territorial and feeling like this person who's not like me doesn't belong here.
Right. I mean, that's just the tribalism, the racism, you know.
I'm going to talk about this next track because this one is one of my favorites on the album. Immediate
Bodyguard?
Fun bop, Bodyguard. Love it. I love the beginning. I just love the little touches of production that like kind of are fun little ditties that you like get stuck in your head. And like I have echolalia, so I love shit like this. The little ooh wee ooh la 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 that's like repeated over and over again. Like I immediately got into it, but then the guitar and the beat come in, and it is just like a fun like sway kind of song. Like it's just like a real vibe.
Yeah, it's vibey. It's not like one of my top, I don't know, 5 songs on the album, maybe even 10 songs on the album. But it was a better one in this first third, I think. Like when I'm listening here, I'm like, okay, the energy's moving up. We just heard Texas Hold'em. That's obviously a bop. Bodyguard, I'm like, the energy is now. I feel like there's a little bit of a flow to the album. I'm like, okay, I'm getting into this. But again, this is maybe my only complaint is that we're now 8 songs in, and I'm like, okay, the energy is here now. You know,
okay.
Like I'm finally like, all right.
This is not like a quick consumption album. This isn't like we loved Radical Optimism. That was like a quick taste. Like we were in that world for like 45, 50 minutes. This is not that. This is different. Like this is an experiential album. So I'm okay with it. I also just want to mention quickly that it is widely theorized that this song Bodyguard was basically titled such and possibly like created because there is so much speculation, has been for many years, that Beyonce's bodyguard Julius, who's been with her for a very long time, is like a secret lover of hers. And so a lot of people are like, well, in the Beehive are like, well, she probably named it Bodyguard because now that song is the first thing that shows up instead of all these gossip rags talking about how she's probably like has a secret relationship. And that is like something that Beyonce would do.
That's some galaxy brain shit right there.
But she's like extremely intentional, so that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Speculation though,
Wild speculation. All alleged, all alleged.
Okay, so let's move on to the Dolly Parton cameo here.
Let's.
So we have a quick Dolly Parton cameo and then into Beyonce's cover of Jolene, which of the 2 covers, she does a Blackbird cover and a Jolene cover. This is easily my favorite because she changes the lyrics, and I think it's actually kind of like funny. Like there's a juxtaposition between Dolly's like Southern charm vibe where she's like, I'm gonna sound like I'm being nice to you even though I hate your guts. And then Beyonce's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you vibe. She's literally like gun to your head, like back off my man, you know? Like the juxtaposition is really, it's funny to me in a good way,
yeah,
not in a bad way. Yeah.
I agree.
And obviously Beyonce's voice is way more, no offense to Dolly, amazing songwriter, she's great, but Beyonce's voice is so much more powerful than hers, and it shows when you listen to these, you know, the original Jolene and this Jolene back to back, you know?
Absolutely. I want to talk about Daughter, the next track on the album.
Get into it.
I really like the song. Jolene and then the song have such like a sense of like foreboding, and they're almost like threatening tracks to listen to. she's basically like singing Jolene like "Don't come for my man," and then in Daughter she's like, also don't come for me because I might seem like I'm sweet honey bee, but I'm absolutely not. Like it's like I will fucking end you vibes.
Right. I mean, it's like this entire album. Like I said at the beginning, like I think she has a lot of anger. Right.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Lemonade in that way.
Oh, that's interesting. Are you saying that she's an angry black woman, Justin?
It's righteous anger. Is what I'm saying. I think this is something that I love about Beyonce.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that I'm not saying that she's the trope of an angry black woman or anything like that.
I know, I'm kidding.
But what I am saying is that she was wronged by this community.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, also in her personal life in general by, you know, various people.
Allegedly.
But I think that a lot of these songs are about that, you know, feeling of being shunned in a way that is not appropriate, right? Or it's not justified, right, by any logical reason. Mm-hmm. So she's just establishing herself. So I think that's just like a current that goes through this entire album.
I'm curious what your thoughts are about Spaghetti.
Okay, so Spaghetti for me was when the second phase of the album begins.
Yep, I agree.
It has that little blurb from Linda Martell at the beginning where I think she says something like genre is a funny thing. Mm-hmm. So Beyonce is signaling to you like, all right, well, we had the country part.
Right.
Now we're going to get a little bit weirder.
Yep.
And she has what I would describe as an incredible, like absolutely fiery verse on this song over like a hip hop beat.
Yeah.
She's a great rapper. Like I think that her husband Jay-Z is a writer on this song. So I wouldn't be surprised if he helped her write her verse. But she has rapped on many other songs. She's a great rapper. I mean, who cares who wrote it? Like her delivery is better than most like rappers who write their own shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
like,
it is. She can do it all.
She can. My only complaint with this song is that I wish it was like a little bit longer. I think she was like, I'm gonna have a tease of what's coming.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna take it down maybe a notch or two, right?
Yeah, and like going right into Alligator Tears, the vibe does like come down. This is like a really great like Cajun influence song that I enjoyed a lot. I think she's playing homage to her mother's like Cajun roots. Her mom's from Louisiana, she has roots in Louisiana, Creole roots as well. So I think that the sounds that we hear in that are very like Cajun inspired, Creole inspired. I like that. The song lyrically, this is one of my favorites. I think the song is all about whiteness and how there are people who think that they're allies maybe, or like are trying to, you know, especially in the South, who are like, we're not racist, like we love everybody equally, but there's this like semblance that like this, you still don't quite belong, you're still not quite right, you still don't necessarily fit in, and that there's like fake I don't know, there's like some artifice around that sort of like Southern hospitality mentality. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, this was one of my favorite ones from this section of the album, the second phase of the album. Musically, it has a very like, I know we used broody to describe Billy's album last episode, but it does have a bit of a broody kind of like swampy kind of energy, like a little bit of a dark energy to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's talking about people who act like they're upset as if they are the victim in a situation. Even though Beyonce, I think lyrically on this song, is talking about all of the things that she does to appease this person or this group of people, right?
Absolutely.
And I think she says there's a line like, if you ask me to move a mountain, I go and get my boots on,
right?
You know, and you're still crying, basically.
Yeah, I agree. Like, and one of the lines that stuck out to me in the song was, you say change religions, now I spend Sundays with you. So I think that was definitely like about like you know, slavery and slaves being like taken out and like not being allowed to practice their native religions and having to convert to Christianity. And so I think this is about like the duality of being like a black person in America, where it's like, okay, you have to do all these things to fit into our mold of what you should be and what's right and what's an idealized version of like an American person, but then still being like, but you're still not doing it right. You don't fit. You're not quite right.
All right, so Alligator Tears is track 13 on the album. As I mentioned, this is a pretty long album. There's 14 tracks left, so we're about halfway. And Geoff and I have noticed that our recording is already getting pretty long. And I think that Cowboy Carter really deserves a long discussion. So we're going to cap our initial discussion here at the halfway point. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back for What's Good. And then next week, we'll have part 2 of our discussion of Cowboy Carter. Sound good, Geoff?
Sounds good. We'll be right back.
Be right back. And we are back.
We back, baby.
Yeah, so I can't wait to finish our discussion of Cowboy Carter next week, but...
Next week in person.
Yes, it's going to be a rare in-person recording.
We're going to get tactile.
But until then, Geoff, what is good with you?
Well, Justin, as always, there's a lot of things good with me. But there's one thing in particular that I think is really good that I would love for you and our listeners dear to watch. And that is a little show on HBO, not the other name, called Hacks. So Hacks is a comedy starring Gene Smart, and it is about a comedian who is kind of past her prime and decides to try to revitalize her career and rebrand herself with the help of a young writer played by Hannah Einbinder. It has an excellent cast, excellent group of writers. Some of the cast includes Meg Stalter, who we all know from Hi Gay on TikTok.
Yes. And from, what else was she in? She was in Broad City, is that right?
Yep, I believe she was in Broad City. And speaking of Broad City, another character or another actor on the show who I believe is also a writer on the show is Paul Downs, who played Trey on Broad City.
Yes.
He and Meg Stalter are excellent on the show. They have a really good rapport together and a cute relationship. So
I watched season 1 of this show, and I think that season 3 just came out, right?
Season 3 did just come out. I think so far there are 6 episodes out right now.
I need to get back to it because I was actually really impressed by season 1. I kind of started watching it with Brandy on a lark, and then was super impressed. Meg Stalter is hilarious. Gene Smart, she was also in the TV show Watchmen, which you brought up a couple episodes ago.
Watchmen, don't even get me started.
She's underrated. And she's also very funny in the show.
Vastly underrated.
Hilarious.
She's hysterical. The plot of the show is hysterical. The performances are really inspired and lived in. The setting of the show is interesting. The cinematography is great. The musical score that goes along with the show is also really good. And it's just a fun, feel-good half-hour comedy. And I think everybody should be watching it. So please check out Hacks on HBO. New episodes drop on Wednesdays.
A great recommendation.
And now's the time of the podcast. We're nearing our end. We're excited to talk about the second half of Cowboy Carter. We're excited to be in person to record. But before we get to that point, I've got to ask you a question, Justin. So, Justin, what's good?
Geoff, I have something to share with you today that links back to that Scarlett Johansson story that we talked about earlier today. So my recommendation is a podcast.
Oh.
It's called Search Engine. This is a podcast that is hosted by PJ Vogt, who is half of the hosting team of the old podcast Reply All, which was I would say one of the OG podcast hits.
Yep.
Yeah. The downfall of Reply All is its own podcast episode, but PJ, after kind of dropping from Reply All, started Search Engine. And its initial premise was that each episode title is a question, an interesting question that they ask. The first really exciting one was should I drink coffee on an airplane? Which I guess is kind of a myth about, the water quality on airplanes. They do a great objective analysis of the question that I would highly recommend that you listen to.
Okay, I'm going to have to because I have a friend who's a flight attendant who did tell me that those coffee mugs or the coffee pots that they serve the coffee in are rarely cleaned, and if they are, it's usually with a Lysol wipe.
Geoff, I hate to break this to you, but it's not about the coffee pots. Oh. It's about the stores of water that are held on the plane.
Oh, the non-potable water?
No, it's potable because they make coffee with it. But
we're not talking bathroom water then.
Right. Okay. It's the store of drinkable water and how often those containers have to be cleaned.
Okay. Interesting.
You will find that episode interesting, I'm sure.
I think I'm going to make the car listen to that tomorrow while we drive up to Maine because I'm really curious about that.
It's a great episode. But the reason I'm recommending it today is because of its most recent episode, which is called How Do We Survive the Media Apocalypse?
Okay.
Now, a quick background. You may or may not have heard that Google is changing the way that its search results are going to work.
I've not heard this.
So
Say more.
You may have already seen this, but if you haven't, very soon, Google is going to start showing you AI results when you search for things.
Ooh.
So instead of just showing you let's say you Google what time is the Super Bowl? Instead of showing you a website that says what time the Super Bowl is, or showing you a quote from a website that says the Super Bowl is at this time, it will scrape all of the publicly available information from the internet and then ask a large language model that they have what time is the Super Bowl. And then the AI will respond to you.
Why?
Because, Jeff, companies love AI and stock prices go up when you say that you're going to implement an AI product.
I don't want to do that.
As you can probably predict, this has already gone bad.
Of course.
There's a post going viral right now about somebody who Googled, how do I stop cheese from falling off of my pizza? And the AI generated response was that you should add glue to it, which was hilariously scraped from a Reddit post, probably a Reddit shit post from 11 years ago. Google recently paid $60 million to Reddit to allow them to scrape all of Reddit's comments. And if you've ever been on Reddit,
that's a terrible
that's a bad
idea.
idea. Okay, so not only is this going to be bad for the user experience because people are going to be getting false results, but most websites rely on Google search traffic for their ad revenue.
Mm-hmm.
If people just get answers from AI without ever clicking a link, what happens to the money that's going into places like New York Times or whatever, right? And already, even before this change, we're seeing websites absolutely, collapse because they don't have a source of income anymore.
Yeah.
So this episode goes into, the whys of why Google would do this, the how of how these companies make money, and it goes really in depth. And I think that the underlying question here is what happens when Google doesn't have anything to scrape anymore, right? Because if you put all of these publications out of business, there's nothing of value, right? Journalism is basically gone, and you don't have anything valuable to scrape anymore. And I think it goes back to this use of AI by companies to just make cheap content, right? Because an AI costs less than a person, an artist. And I think it's really a problem. I'm not somebody who's all AI should die and it's not useful at all.
I am.
But I do think that there should be some legislation or some regulation on it, because a lot of stuff is going to get worse for the consumer if it keeps going the way that it's going. And as a side plug, there are some really great independent media outlets that are being set up right now. I follow one called 404 Media. This is an independent media website. It's at 404media.co. It's excellent. They do a lot of tech reporting. It's a lot of reporters who used to be at Vice, which is one of those websites that recently collapsed. They basically don't have a journalism presence at all anymore because of, the impending media apocalypse. And I would also highly recommend Aftermath, which is a gaming site, and they can be found at aftermath.site. It's another great independent media operation that's made of a lot of people who used to be at Vice, used to be at Kotaku, used to be at the Washington Post. So yeah, I think that looking into alternative sources for your journalism and your content is a great move to try to fight against this apocalypse that's happening in the media. But yeah, the recommendation that I made this week is for Search Engine. It's a podcast hosted by PJ Vogt. You can find it on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts.
So just to recap, Justin has recommended 3 things, including a competitor podcast. Okay, good. Just wanted to get that out there.
All right, Jeff. Well, I'm so excited to see you in person in a week.
Excited to see you.
Talk a lot more Cowboy Carter because there's so much more to get into.
There's so much more to discuss. I am really excited for the rest of the combo because the back half, if we have to split it in half instead of thirds, of the album is by far my favorite part. So
I would absolutely agree. Yeah.
Well, that's it for this time. We'll stay tuned for part 2, kids.
Come back next week for part 2.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
That's right.
This has been Bance with Jeff and Justin. Bance is produced by Jeff Taylor and Justin Benavidez. Graphic design by me, Jeff Taylor. Editing by Justin Benavidez. The theme music for Bance is the track Time With You by Tolef featuring Rule, that's spelled RVLE, and is provided by No Copyright Sounds. Email us at bancepodcast gratuitospod@gmail.com with any questions, recommendations, or just to say hi. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! To do like an actual vocal warm-up. Join me in the ritual, Justin.
The ritual.
Yeah, the rituals must be observed.
Is that the...
Well, I was going to do Twinkle Twinkle Little Star blowing through the lips because that gets you loose and gets your vocal cords like shaken.
I don't know what that means, but go ahead. I hate this.
I'm laughing.
This is like a nightmare lullaby.